welcome to the Football Game Plan NFL All-32 show. David Hassigan here, and back with us this week, the jet lag czar of the playbook, Emery Hunt. Welcome back, man. You've had a busy couple of weeks.
I'm glad to be back, doing a lot of scouting, and keep it locked for our scout team show. But we've done a lot of scouting on these different All-Star games that I've been on, all 4 All-Star games. So it's been fun. Glad to be back. You guys did a great job with the show. It's great to be here for our final show of the season, the Super Bowl show. I'm sorry. Big game, because we can't say Super Bowl weekend, but
right.
But here's the thing. I'm happy to be back. It's great to be here talking NFL once again, getting me out of the sun out there in all of those places that I was at over the course of the past month.
Let's just be fair. You were there for the weather. You weren't there for the football.
Well, I would not the weather in certain parts. It was like real cold, man, I swear.
Troy Anthony here, bringing you Football Game Plan's best bets for Super Bowl 54. Where the 49ers are heading up against the Chiefs. The 49ers game plan is going to rely heavily on the run. We're going to switch things up, and I'm going to give you 2 prop bets instead of an in-game bet. And relying on the run, I'm going with Raheem Mostert to go over 77.5 yards at plus 100. In the divisional round, Tevin Coleman went for 105. In the championship round, Mostert went for 220. I see him having another big game in the big game against the Chiefs. I'm also going to double down on him and take him to get it in the end zone for a touchdown at minus 155. For your football game plan best bets, I'm Troy Anthony. Enjoy the game.
Time to break down this game in every way we can, folks. And Emery, let's start with our X Factors. Let's start with San Francisco. Obviously, a lot of the focus is on the running game, but this is going to be a huge game for Jimmy Garoppolo. How much does he have to be in part of this play in order for them to get the win?
Well, that's the biggest X factor, I think, in this ball game, because right now you look at San Francisco and you think of them how people used to underrate Russell Wilson and his impact on Seattle. They always talked about run game and defense. Well, when you look at San Francisco, what you want to talk about, their run game and their defense. But this is the type of game where Jimmy Garoppolo will really have to step up and be that guy that they paid that money to, that they invested all that capital into, to be the reason why they win this game. Now, he doesn't have to try to take the game over, but he can't be a liability. He has to be an asset. And that's going to be the biggest key for San Francisco. Can they get him to be an asset offensively? Now, on the defense side, the other X factor, the linebacking core, because you look at what you're doing on defense. You're facing a team in Kansas City that loves to work the deep passing game, and a lot of it is intermediate that they tend to work. So your linebacking core will play a huge role in those short area zones, dropping underneath, covering those tight ends. So your linebacking core will have to play big in the passing game on defense, but offensively, Jimmy Garoppolo will have to bring his best game. We've seen it in spurts. We saw it against New Orleans. We saw it against the Packers. The first matchup against Green Bay, we saw him against Seattle do some good things. So we've seen it at times, him have success. I just think he has to be consistently from start to finish if they want to have a chance.
And let's move now to Kansas City, because this is a Kansas City team that is stacked from 1 to 53, but Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, he has been a major difference maker in the secondary for Kansas City.
Well, he's their move piece. He's a guy that you look forward to make a play. Tyrann Mathieu's addition to that team has been excellent. He's the guy that you let him do his thing, and you game plan the other 10 guys around that. We're going to do this. Tyrann Mathieu, you go do you. And so in this game, being pseudo a spy on Jimmy Garoppolo, just watching his eyes. I'm not talking about him worrying about him running, but just watching where he's going to go and trying to guess and jump that route and pick that ball off. Having Tyrann Mathieu be the X factor on defense, the move piece, is something that's going to help them win. Offensively, Austin Ryder, the center. Because you look at what's the strength of San Francisco, their defensive front, all those first-round picks and how they apply pressure, all that length and athleticism that they have up front, your center will have to make sure he is calling the right calls, getting these guys in the right protections, checking with the quarterback, those who have to be in unison. But I look at Austin Ryder, the center for Kansas City, being probably the biggest X factor offensively. We know about the skill players. We know what they can do. But if you can't protect up front, all of that is for naught. So I look at Ryder against that San Francisco defense front, getting his guys ready to play.
And we'll certainly keep an eye on all of these players moving forward. But there's so much more we have to talk about and break down. And we're going to start with the offenses as we go forward toward the big game here on the NFL All-32 show. Stay with us.
Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website, ninethandlux.com, and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music. with featured artist IW and his latest album, Season 2. You can check that out on iTunes as well as doyoumusic.com. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit. Financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia.
I'm Alex Marinoni, offering you Football Game Plan's best bets for Super Bowl 54. Now, we're going to change things up a little bit for the Super Bowl, and rather than give you game lines and picks, we're going to focus on a couple of prop bets that you're going to want to know. With it being the biggest game of the year, I'm focusing on two of the biggest names for the Chiefs. First, we're going to start with Travis Kelce. As we know, Kelce is an elite tight end in this league, and one of Mahomes' go-to options in this offense. Kelce for the year has averaged over 6 catches a game. Now, thinking about the 49ers defense, you would think that would be a tough feat for Kelce, but that may not be the case. The 49ers defense has yielded nearly 700 yards and 7 touchdowns to opposing tight ends this year, and Kelce will be by far the most talented one they see. In order for this Chief offense to work, they're going to need a heavy dose of Kelce. Currently seeing the line set at over under 6.5 catches for the night, I expect him to go over this mark. Now, we can't talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and not have something for Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has been on another level this postseason, looking better than his MVP 2018 season. He's going to need to be every bit at his best against this 49ers defense. The 49er front four live in the opponent's backfield and will give Mahomes more trouble than he's used to. But this is the Super Bowl, and that is not going to scare me away from thinking Mahomes won't do his thing. Damian Williams has helped take some of the load off Mahomes since his return, but Mahomes is still going to need to be Superman. Mahomes has thrown for over 300 yards 8 times this season, and with 615 yards already thrown in this postseason, this should be a reasonable feat. Seeing the line set at over under 299.5 yards, I like Mahomes to get over this. This was Football Game Plan's best bets for Super Bowl 54. I'm Alex Marinoni.
Welcome back to the NFL All-32 show. David Hassagen and Emery Hunt here as we continue to break down Super Bowl 54, and we start with the offenses. This year is very much a matchup of the past versus the future. In San Francisco, it's a run-first offense with a stable of running backs and a passing game complementing it. On the other side, with the Kansas City Chiefs, it's all guns blazing with a gunslinging quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. So what are you looking for in this one from Kansas City in order for them to be successful moving the ball against San Francisco?
Well, you can't be afraid to run that pressure. A lot of people look at pressure and think, okay, we got to protect it up front. We have to make sure we block these guys really well up front. We can't get into a situation where we're going to allow their defensive line to dictate. Those are all the things that people talk about, but one thing that they don't talk about is running right at the pressure. Because if you got guys that want to get after the quarterback, the best thing to do is make them become run defenders. So if you're Kansas City, you may want to load up and start to run the football against this defensive front, wear them down a little bit before you can get back there and drop back the pass. Not saying you have to really become the Tennessee Titans, but you also just have to make sure you don't want to not run the football against an over-aggressive defensive front that's going to be looking to try to get after the quarterback and get Pat Mahomes on the ground to throw him off the spot. I get all of that from the defensive perspective. So I think offensively for Kansas City, for offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, it's about getting the run game going to neutralize that pressure and then getting back to what you do best, throwing the football.
Now, what about San Francisco? Obviously, with San Fran, it's much more of a slow, take your time, use the running game to move the ball down the field, and then use the passing game when necessary to get yourself a first down. We saw that with Garoppolo going, I believe, 6 of 8 in the championship game. What are the keys for San Francisco, though, to be more effective? Because this Kansas City defense is more of a bend, don't break, and they're going to be a little bit better at protecting the run.
Well, we're going to get back to Kansas City in a second, but just one quick key for San Francisco. Deebo Samuel, you move him all around the field. That's, I think, the answer to the Tyrann Mathieu question on the other side. You want to keep Deebo Samuel on the move. Sometimes you want to use him in the backfield. Sometimes you want to have him out wide in the slot. Find creative ways to move him around that formation and get him the football. I think he's their best offensive playmaker. He's a guy that has that physical nature that you like at the position. He's a multifaceted athlete. He can run the ball like a running back. He can get deep down the field. He can catch those short, tough passes over the middle of the field. So he's a guy that you want to move all the way around the field to have success on offense. If San Francisco can do that, I think they can have a chance. But getting back to Kansas City, another offensive key is the creative screen game. Their screen game against the pressure is another way to neutralize that pass rush. We talked about the run game. Now it's about the screen game. Can they neutralize the pressure? Here's a way that they can do that. The screen game kind of gets guys to guess and be less aggressive coming off the football. If they think the screen is coming, they're going to be a little bit more relaxed, which allows you more time back in the pocket, or it allows you to run the football a little bit better. So we know teams hate screens when they are over-aggressive because now they have to think. You also look at protecting inside out. Guard, center, guard play for Kansas City is going to be huge. Everyone focuses on the left tackle, the right tackle, and protecting the blind side and don't want to get front side pressure. I get that part. However, if you can't protect interior, your interior is terrible. If your guard, center, guard play is not where it needs to be, you're going to struggle. You're not going to be able to throw the football. You definitely won't be able to run the football because those guards are what make the run game go. And they also help protect the passing game. So I think protecting inside out will be paramount if Kansas City wants to have success offensively.
And speaking of the running game, you talk about San Francisco. People think, oh, the run game is basic. You know, are a foreign running back. You know it's anything but basic. How creative do they have to get in order to be successful against this Kansas City defense?
Ask Green Bay how creative the run game can be. They got gashed essentially by just the running game in that NFC Championship game, and it's all smoke and mirrors. You know, it's about motion, it's about movement. Get your eyes to go one way and you run back the other way. And so creatively in the run game, finding your ways to, okay, we're going to run a trap here. We're going to be creative in how we pull. Maybe we pull a tackle and kick down with a tight end, or maybe we pull a guard backside and come front side with the run play. So it's about finding creative ways to run the football. You saw that against Green Bay. They have an opportunity against Kansas City to be creative in how they run the football, whether it's with running backs, receivers on jet motions, maybe even using Garoppolo a little bit more in the run game, you know, because he is a very good athlete. Different ways they can have success to keep their offense on pace. Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller, a guy that does a great job in designing plays, scheming guys, open scheming guys to success. The run game, which was paramount against Green Bay, can be paramount against Kansas City.
You got to be loving this, seeing the running game being key in the Super Bowl, where it's the pass-happy NFL.
Well, you have to find ways to do that because, you know, you talk about the passing game and how people always talk about you got to run, you can't run, you got to throw. San Francisco just killed that idea in the NFC Championship game.
And Tennessee did before
Tennessee
them.
did a great job. Baltimore's run game was paramount. I also believe if you're San Francisco, because you're talking about your quarterback, maybe use him in the run game, but I think more importantly, you want to move the pocket for him. Give him different launch pad spots to throw the football. I think that's how he can have success in the passing game because we know he's not the best versus pressure. Sometimes you got to get him off the spot because he may panic a little bit and take a sack or throw an errant pass, but move the pocket for Jimmy G, I think, is one way that San Francisco can have success in the passing game.
It's going to be a very intriguing offensive matchup, but when we come back, stay with us because we will break down two very interesting defenses as well for the Super Bowl right here on the NFL All-32 show.
Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense.
Well, the game of football has taught me so many things, man. Now, think about the huddle we have right now, right? I tell people this all the time. There's a reason why they call it a huddle. You know, people have been huddling all their lives, trying to find ways to enhance each other's lives. The great teams do that all the time. The great teams do that. The better the huddle, the better the team. And so it's simple, man, how if you huddle for all the right reasons, we wouldn't have Ferguson. We wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have in our society. But as we all know, there's always a moment when somebody doesn't belong in the huddle. And yet we have to continue to move on. We got to continue to play. So the game of life, man, is always starting with the huddle. And for me, I'm lucky enough to know that, you know, by the graces of God, man, it's been a nice huddle. It's been a nice huddle. And if I just keep making sure that he's in front of me, I'm going to be all right.
Welcome back, football fans. We've talked about the offenses. Now it's time to talk defense. And we've got an intriguing matchup in this one. The Chiefs do not have the strongest defense in the NFL, but they've improved dramatically all season long with a bend-don't-break mentality that has stifled opposing offenses. But San Francisco comes in with a defense that has been the talk of the league for several playmakers who can change the game on one play. What are you going to be looking for, obviously, with the San Francisco defense? They have to deal with Patrick Mahomes, but even more importantly, they have to deal with a wide receiver core that might as well be trying out for the U.S. Olympic track team in a few months in the next Olympics.
Well, that's why I say you got to stay deeper than the deepest, man, because you have a quarterback in Pat Mahomes that truly works touchdown to check down. So the longer he's back there in the pocket, the more opportunity those guys got to get down the field, and he can connect deep down the field with that strong arm. So you really have to stay deep if you're the back half of that secondary. If you're the safeties, don't get caught in trying to, okay, he's scrambling, let me try to fly up and make a play, because now you just had Tyreek Hill just streak down the field, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, all of these guys you done had go downfield, and Pat Mahomes has the arm to get it down there. So stay deeper than the deepest. It's simple football. That's something you learn day one as a safety. Don't get beat deep. If you get beat deep, it's going to be a touchdown in this situation. I think that's one key initially for their defense.
I'm just saying, though, IOC, keep an eye on these guys because you might need them. But next up is the tight end position, because we got an interesting matchup between two very similar yet different style tight ends. What are they going to do to stop Travis Kelce? Because he is an absolute monster. He might be the most important playmaker on this offense.
Right. I think he makes everything go for Kansas City because he's their short, shallow guy, and they go deep with that speed that you talked about. So I think in order to neutralize that, you got to beat him up at the line of scrimmage. You want to stay physical with him, delay his route, delay him en route, so therefore you have an extra time to get back there to the pocket, so that way you don't create a problem for yourself by worrying about, okay, we got to stay deep. You just giving up this 5 to 7 yard short stop route to Travis Kelce every play. They don't have to go deep if they're getting that play off consistently. So you beat him up. You kind of want Pat Mahomes to hold the football. Maybe you have some similar pressure that you're going to send to him, or some delayed pressure you're going to send to him. And if you take away his first option, which could potentially be Travis Kelce, it forces him to hold the ball. Your pressure has time to get back there and get him on the ground. So I would probably beat Kelce up on the line of scrimmage, make it tough for him to get that free release, and that's a way you can have success.
And we already talked about Tyrann Mathieu, but the big key for San Francisco, Richard Sherman. He is the leader of that secondary. What do you do with him in this game? Because there are a lot of weapons. He may not be the fastest D-back in the world, so where do you put him in this offense?
Well, I would probably break protocol and have him travel a little bit, but it won't be with Tyreek Hill. It won't be with Mecole Hardman. It probably would be with Sammy Watkins. I think that's a good matchup. It's a bigger receiver. Sherman's a bigger corner. He's a physical guy, great press skills. And you can kind of match up him with Watkins and let scheme take care of the other guys. So I would probably travel Watkins with him. Now, when Watkins isn't out there, you want to play him off and allow him to take his smarts into consideration, read and react type of player. But if you're going to have Watkins out there, if they're going to have Watkins out there, then I would probably match up Sherman with Watkins more so than trying to put him on Tyreek Hill or Mecole Hardman. That's too much youth, number one, and speed, because youth and speed is a deadly combination for an older veteran that's savvy. So find Watkins, put Sherman on him, and allow your scheme to take care of everyone else.
Now let's move to Kansas City. Obviously, we talked about how San Francisco is going to use creativity in the run game. So if you're Kansas City, how do you slow that down and try to make them almost a one-dimensional run game and force Jimmy G to beat you?
Well, there's two options. One, you could set a hard edge in the run game. I thought that's where Green Bay failed to do so. They were allowing themselves to get reach and then creating these gaping cutback lanes for the tailback. So you set a hard edge. You force that tailback to make a decision right away. I got to plant my foot and get downhill, number one. Number two, you also look at the fact that you just have to keep your eyes on your luggage. Don't take the cheese. If you see motion going one way, sometimes it works that way. Normally, coaches will tell you wherever the guard goes, that's where the ball is going to go. But in this case, when you're facing San Francisco, you follow those guards, and you may be going into a trap, or you may be going into a no man's land, and the ball is going the other way. So keep your eyes on your luggage. Everyone is responsible for a gap. As long as you're able to play gap sound and stop trying to follow guys and players and motions, you won't get caught in bad situations. But you have to, one, set a hard edge so that way you don't give up the outside run or the cutback, and also, handle your responsibilities, stay gap sound, and you should have success.
I love how you brought up the luggage thing with all your travels. The travel tip from the czar of the playbook, Emory Hunt. Now, what's the question now is, how do you get a pressure on a quarterback that really doesn't like moving around a lot? Garoppolo is much more of a, I'm going to stay home, I'm going to pass when I need to, but he's not overly mobile. It should be easy, but there's a key to that for the going forward.
Yeah, because quick pressure forces him to get rid of the football quickly. He knows where to go with the football. So quick pressure may not be your best bet. It's the delayed pressure that can get you what you need defensively, because he tends to lock in on some guys and he tends to get shell-shocked a little bit versus pressure. So if he sees pressure late, he's going to lock up and maybe take the sack or throw an errant pass in which you have an opportunity to pick the ball off. Quick pressure, he knows, okay, if the blitz is coming this way, I know I go this way. I know I got to go that way. I know where this guy's coming, just throw where he just vacated. It's almost like keeping your eyes on your luggage. So we talked about the run game. You may have a guy going across to take this guy out the window to throw right in that same window. You just want to move this guy so you have a route to take that guy away. But if you have delayed pressure, when that guy is moving, he's going to get locked, and he's going to either take that sack or he's going to just throw that football before the play had time to develop, and that's when the turnovers start to happen. So delayed interior pressure, I think, can help them get home to Garoppolo and put this game away.
Here it is, folks. This is the prediction we all want. Obviously, you go to a czar, you go to a guru. Who wins Super Bowl 54?
I like Kansas City to win this ball game. I think when you look at their offense, they don't mind playing with the lead or playing from behind because they have the offense to make it work. And they also have the offense to really threaten a defense. It doesn't matter if you're going to blitz them. It doesn't matter if you're going to drop back and play zone. Whatever you do is going to be the wrong decision. I think they have way too many athletes at receiver, at tight end, and one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the game, under center in Pat Mahomes. Plus, we talk about their offense and how explosive it is. Their defense quietly has been the story since that game in Mexico City against the Chargers, where they picked off Phillip Rivers, I want to say 10 times in that game, including the game-clinching interception with Sorensen, who made a great play against the Houston Texans on that fake punt. So I think their defense in that game and since that game has been a much different and better defense. So I think you're going to see the best defense of Kansas City take the field, their best version of their defense. You're going to see their offense be their offense out there, and that dual capability of being able to score and also take the ball away and get pressure is going to be a lot for San Francisco to handle. Now, this game will be close. It won't be a blowout because San Francisco's defense will probably have some early wins, but I don't trust their offense to make things happen against a defense, and you give Pat Mahomes more opportunities with the football, he'll make you pay.
That'll do it, folks. You heard it here first. Kansas City is the prediction from the czar of the playbook to win Super Bowl 54. And that'll do it for the Football Game Plan NFL All-32 show. Don't forget, for all your football knowledge, go to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense, and go to SoundCloud or iTunes, where you can listen to the NFL All-32 podcast with Emory Hunt, Troy Anthony, Alex Marion, and I talking all the buzz across the NFL as we prepare you for the finale of the NFL season. For the czar of the playbook, Emory Hunt, I'm David Hassagen, saying have a great weekend and enjoy Super Bowl 54.